communication became something that I didn't realize many years later was something that I crave. When I got all of this off, I ended up in a national beauty pageant. I ended up on Broadway. I ended up as an actress, stand-up comedian. It always came down to one thing. It was communication. Dove head first because ultimately, without that skill, you go nowhere, your business goes nowhere, your relationships go nowhere. And now that I've taught for the last 6 years online, I've had a chance to do over 120,000 students hear pitches from all around the world. And I've noticed that most people play small. You do that, your income rises.
All right, welcome to the Power of Us podcast, where we talk about business growth and the true power behind referral networking. I'm Summer, and around here we believe that investing in business relationships will absolutely put dollars in your pocket. And today I'm so excited for our guest. Dr. Forbes Riley is here with us. She is an entrepreneur, an actress, a best-selling author, an expert in communication and messaging and confidence.
Keep going.
I was going to say, I
could a really fun mom and like a good girlfriend.
And the laundry list of things that you are. Yes. I mean, you.
But no, I don't do laundry. That's the irony.
I love that. I love that for you. And that might be my new goal in life. That's what I'm going to put that down to. Thank you for being here.
No, thank you. You know what? I love being Vegas. Vegas has got some great memories. I met the love of my life in Vegas. I've certainly had great friends here. My in-laws live here. It's a good place.
You come here often, right?
I used to come here all the time. And
okay.
And I'm contemplating moving here.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
So I just moved here.
Oh, from where?
From Los Angeles.
Okay.
I'm sorry to the locals, right? They say no more LA. You're not allowed to move here anymore. Stop bringing all the people from LA. But Vegas is a great place to live.
All right, we'll talk about this off camera.
We will, yeah. It's a fantastic place. So why don't you, for our listeners, we have, LeTip is a referral networking. We refer to it as a tip. It's a warm introduction, opportunity for business. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and how you got to be the way you are?
Well, first thing I'm excited about is that Pitch Secrets, which is what I do and what my new book is about, really helps networkers.
Yes.
So you are the first person to really talk to me about that because for all of you watching, I used to hate networking. I would throw up on somebody. They'd say, what do you do? And just like you read the laundry list, I would do that too.
Yes.
Like I'm an actress, I'm a TV host, I've got a new book, and I would do all of that and they would have this look on their face and I'm like, and I'm a little shy, a little introverted, or I have been in the past. Now people look at me going, how's that possible? Trust me, when COVID hit and we had to stay in, I was like going celebrating. I'm like, oh yes, really? I don't have to go out on a Friday night. It's just how I just, quite the homebody. But it doesn't mean when I'm given the spotlight that I command it.
Right.
And so being able to teach that is extraordinary. So let's go way back in time.
Okay.
There's a little girl, it's a funny thing. I'm the second generation immigrant child of two people who loved to play very small. My mom was overweight, single, she was an only child. They had just moved here from Ukraine, and she was a beautiful woman, 5'9", gorgeous, but she had some issues. That's all I'm going to say. And then my dad was this inventor and a magician, and he was a little socially awkward, but he loved to make things. And that's how my love of inventing and magic started, because I would sit in his garage, and he would tinker. I mean, I literally had a go-kart made out of half a garbage can, a lawnmower engine, paper mache, looked like the Batmobile. And we were the fairly odd family at the end of a dead-end street. And I knew it. Everyone thought we were a little strange. And we were.
It's okay.
So I'm in elementary school. I go to school one day, and they notice that my teeth go in all different directions. Somehow my parents didn't notice this. And they took a mold of my mouth, which I still have, because my mother hoarded everything. From 1968, I've got this weird thing. And they put me in braces. Not a big deal. Have you had braces?
Yes.
Yeah, for how long?
A couple years.
Yeah, a couple of years. How about 8? From the time I was a little girl to the time I was a teenager out the door.
Wow.
Full railroad tracks, headgear, rubber bands, and they screw this thing into my mouth called a tongue thruster. And so now I talk like this.
Yes, my son had to have one. They're awful.
Oh, seriously?
No, they're
God,
awful.
You're the first person I've met who
oh my God, you got to go in and crank it in their mouth and it's horrible.
Well, this one had forks down it because I used to lick my lips all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And so now I can't talk like this. For 2 years I'm like this. And my parents, God bless them, they just became very good friends of mine. I watched a lot of TV, did a lot of homework, and I had no friends. No friends. Like no one could tolerate not hearing what I had to say. And so communication became something that I didn't realize many years later was something that I crave, I love. When I got all of this off, I ended up in a national beauty pageant. I ended up on Broadway. I ended up as an actress, stand-up comedian. And somebody had said to me in my career, well, Forbes, you're all over the place. You do sports and news, and I had a national radio show. And I said, it always came down to one thing. It was communication. And now I have just dove headfirst because ultimately, without that skill, you go nowhere, your business goes nowhere, your relationships go nowhere. And now that I've taught for the last 6 years online, I've had a chance to do over 120,000 students hear pitches from all around the world because I love Zoom. That's what my Z is for. And I've noticed that most people play small. And I know we're going to dive into this because I think this will help you at home in terms of techniques for communicating better. You do that, your income rises.
I love that. And what a great way to say, hey, you weren't able to communicate, so once you were, you just blossomed and really understood the power behind it. So professional networking started. We started this company in 1978. I didn't start it. I'm not the founder. But the company started in 19... It's amazing, phenomenal. But in 1978, we taught 30-second commercials. And then 30 seconds was short. But in 2026, that's too long.
Right.
And so when we teach people, because people will come to us who don't know anything about networking but have been phenomenal in business.
In 30 seconds, what do you teach them to say?
Well, something small. Tell me one thing, because they'll stand up and they'll tell me everything they do, and my eyes have glazed over and I remember none of it.
Right.
Because we're your unpaid sales force. I'm not coming to be your employee, so I don't need to quote everything that you do.
Right.
You just have to plant seeds with me. So I tell them all the time, share a story, because we're meeting weekly or bi-monthly or bi-weekly.
I have a couple of techniques and guys, they're all in the book, which is really exciting.
I love the book.
Especially under H, because H stands for handshake.
Yeah.
Handshake, I think, is 3 parts. I think there is the pre-handshake before you walk in. Do you know what you do? Do you know what you want from the people in the room for them to know what you do? Because the biggest problem I find is when people, and I have a whole training on this called Elevator Pitch 2.0, because those 30, 60 seconds can make or break so much. And the first thing is people don't need to know everything you do. Oh, no, but they asked, they said, what do you do? This is my secret. They don't care what you do. They care what you can do for them. That's a very big differential. Yeah. This means I don't have to tell you everything. I just have to tell you enough to say, wow, that's really cool. Tell me more. And this is how you know when you win in the networking game. Somebody doesn't say, oh, that's nice. I'm going to go get a drink. That's nice. No, they say, wow, that's cool. Tell me more. We then call that O for open door. That means now you have a chance to really elaborate on what you do. But when you lead with a story, oh my God, my life's been tragic and I created this and this, you're like, wait, I don't care about you enough to care about your story. So the first thing I have people do, number one, know your name. I know that sounds crazy, but I have a very unusual name. And my problem started right there. Hi, my name is Forbes. They would go, what? And I go, Forbes Riley. So Riley's your first name. I said, no, Forbes is my first name. They're like, are you sure? So the first 5 minutes of me meeting a potential new client, new best friend, new investors, all about my name. So I flipped the switch. Hi, my name is Forbes. Forbes Riley. Forbes is in the magazine. And then I stopped talking. You then, what are you thinking right now?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
And we get rid of that. So if you have a normal name like Lisa or Susan, you don't need something. But if you have an unusual name, I would take a moment. I had a girlfriend of mine, just a student, sorry. Her name was like Demetria. And I said, so what does that mean? She said, my mother gave it to me. I have no idea. I said, maybe we should make it up. She was Ethiopian descent. And I said, why don't you say, hi, my name is Demetria. And in my culture, that means queen.
Oh my gosh. I think I just fell in love with you.
Right? All of a sudden, it's like, yes, that's what you get to be. You plant that seed in somebody else's head, and then it just blossoms on its own. The next thing is, don't say your name and what you do in one breath. Hi, my name is Forbes Riley. I'm known as Queen of Pitch. You're like, what was her name?
Yeah.
How can you forget somebody's? It's because you didn't make it memorable. Take a moment and make it memorable. Hi, my name is Summer. And that's an interview. Do you ever say anything beyond that when you say your name?
Well, now you have me thinking, I don't know. And now I'm also thinking, okay, I'm Irish and Italian. What is in summer? Because I'm coming up with Queen. I'm going to borrow that. So
I love that. But yours is, but even more basic. You look Summer. You've got this great ginger hair. Hi, my name is Summer. I know it's everyone's favorite season. What you do by saying it's everyone's favorite season, you became my favorite person.
Okay.
And it's funny, I wrote something like that as dedication in your book. Because all you want to do is, when I leave you going, that's Summer, because you look like summer, you look like energy, you look like warmth. If you accomplish that, you win.
I love that.
And I don't even need to know your last name at the moment.
It doesn't matter.
Right, because the biggest thing is when you're at a party, if somebody can't remember your name, they're uncomfortable. They're like, oh, why don't you say hi to her so I can remember, what was your name again? Nobody wants to be put in that position.
Correct.
So it's your responsibility as the entrepreneur, make that moment memorable. And when you do that, the next thing is, what do? I have a secret about that too. Want to know that one?
I want to know all your secrets. I want to know them all.
Well, can I share something with you?
Please.
I teach all my secrets. Get this. Every Sunday since COVID happened, I show up on Sunday live. Most people don't do that. I've been done over 300 episodes. 5 p.m. Eastern. It's called pitchsecretstraining.com, just FYI, and it's free.
I'm signed up for this Sunday, just so you know. Fun fact.
Okay, are you signed up though? Because we're going to have some fun.
We're going to be there.
Well, and I meet between 1,000 and 3,000 new people. I teach a little bit, and then I coach. I hear people's pitches, and usually you don't get much past your name and what you do. And then I've got a thing called the Ultimate Pitch Formula, which we don't do in this book.
Okay.
I give you lots of resources here to get you started, but then I have a big finish at the very end. So one of the things after that is, what are you known as?
What are you known as?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm known as the connector.
And you know what's even funnier? Give me 3 words, because 3 words feels better. I'm known as the...
Business relationship connector.
Oh, okay. I'm known as the business relationship connector. If you just said that to me, I know who you are. As opposed to, hi, I'm somebody who started this business, and I've been doing this, and I've been doing that, and you hear the I, right? Mm-hmm. Now in 3 words, I know who you are. That's kind of cool. Now the next thing in my little formula about this is because. Why are you called the business connector?
Right.
Because why?
Because I know everybody. I take the time to invest in knowing all these business people.
I wouldn't say I know everybody.
Just kidding. I don't know everybody.
Well, no, she does. I want to know more.
I know a lot, but no, not everyone.
Well, and it's so funny, too, because when it gets down to these concept of communication, every word matters. And you don't need to be nuts about this. But while you've got me coaching, let's drill down a little bit. So I'm known as the strategic business connector. I like that word.
Okay.
Because all of a sudden it means that there's something, calculated about that. Because, now get this, you can substitute I for as someone who. Because as someone who's been in businesses, blah, blah, and you said you own many of them, I now specialize in helping businesses connect people like you to people who want them. Or something about that.
Right.
So for me, I'm known as the Queen of Pitch. Because as someone who's generated over $2.5 billion worth of sales, I now coach people around the world.
Is that all?
That's it.
Just 2.5?
Well, you want to be really honest?
I do.
I stopped counting 7 years ago.
Oh, that is a good problem to have, girlfriend.
I've made way more than that. I've generated way, but I'll tell you why I don't say more. Because then you'd expect me to show up with the entourage, Rolls Royce, and the jet. Not that I don't have those things, but I'm not a very flashy person. I'm very down to earth. You will not see me. You're not gonna find labels arbitrarily on me. You're gonna find clothes that look great and purses I like and shoes I love, but I'm not chasing anything. That's not where I find my self-worth.
So there's a great saying, be humble before life will humble you, right? And
Yes.
remember who you are and where you've come from. Doesn't matter how much money you make, because at the end of the day, it's the people who make an impact on your life.
You know, that's so true. Many, many years ago, I got in for an audition for a national talk show. And there were a lot of very famous people there, and everybody wanted this. And I went in, and I ended up, there's 2 stories to this. One, I had just broken my nose. And I went in with a thing on my face. And the newscaster, who's very famous, she turned to me, it was 2 of us kind of doing this little demo, and she said, oh, you look a lot like Hannibal Lecter. And I looked at her, I'm like, now I know who I'm having for lunch. But the second more important thing was when I got the job. It was a TV series called Essentials. It was a beautiful show for 2 women and a studio audience, and it was great. But the camera guy who had been in that studio, who I'd worked in before, said, I got you that job. And I looked at him going, I'm sorry, you did what? He said, yeah. He said, when you left, they asked me, they said, you work with her a lot. She's in the studio. He's like, yeah. I said, what's she like to work with? And he said, you're the only person who remembers my kids' names and my birthday. And you don't have to do that. And I was taken back. I thought, wow, I didn't do it for any other reason that that's how I was raised. I was raised in the theater department of school, where even if you had the lead role, you sold tickets and painted scenery. And so humble is not something that I pretend. That's just who I am. I've never forgotten my roots. And I'm a goofy kid, and I still feel like a goofy kid. When my dad was in the hospital when I was a kid. He slipped, he's a printer, and he ripped off the whole front of his left hand. And he spent 3 years in the hospital, 15 operations. And I learned a lot in that hospital room, most of my early lessons. One of them was that room overlooked the only mansion in my hometown on Long Island, New York. And I used to look at it every day and just kind of think about, because we had a tiny 1,300 square foot house with one bathroom, and they had 2 giant chimneys and a big circular driveway. And I kept thinking, what are the holidays? What's Christmas like in there? You know, for Halloween, did they get full candy bars? I had the weirdest thoughts about this. But I became fixated on what does it mean to live that way? Because in my house, we had one couch covered in plastic. It was green. My mother bought it at some sort of yard sale, and we never got another couch. That was it. We were so excited to have that couch. So I was like, rich people must think differently than maybe my parents did. And I went on a quest to do that, to find that out. So after college, I went to work for the Graces, Mr. and Mrs. Grace, and definitely billionaires. And I was their social secretary. I think they hired me because I was funny. I don't think I had no skills. I had nothing on my resume. But we're in the car one day, and Mrs. Grace turns to me and she said, "You need to get Louis Vuitton out of the trunk." And I looked at her and I said, "Who's in the trunk?"
Yeah.
Now, you would never do that now with Instagram. Y'all know what Louis Vuitton was. But back then, I'm like, and she looked at me, she's like, "You'll learn." And I'm like, "You're right." And I did. I spent a lot of my life figuring out what I didn't know, what I wanted. And then I got to a certain level, and now it's all about how do I give this back?
Okay, so I grew up very similar in an 800 square foot house, only child, raised by a single mom, deadbeat dad. We had no money. College was not something that was even an option because it was a luxury that I just didn't have. It wasn't available. And that's okay. I didn't realize how poor we were until later. So I think it was okay. I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? No. You're just going through living life. And I went to work very early because I had to help pay. I had to help fund the house. And I ended up getting an opportunity to work in Century City. Oh. And it was right off of Rodeo. Now, I'm from LA, but I've never been to Beverly Hills. I don't live in those part of town. And I walked into that office for that first time, high-rise, overlooking Aaron
exactly where it is.
10100 Santa Monica Boulevard, right, in Century City, overlooking Aaron Spelling's, the golf course. And I knew in that moment, I need to be in this environment. And I am going to do everything that I can to be here. And I learned. I didn't know how to do anything, but I sat and I answered the phones early in the morning. I stayed and ran the business during the day, and I closed at night. I did everything. I wanted to know how to do it all. Wow. Because you have to. I will never ask you to do something that I haven't already done myself. Same here with LeTip. I came over as an admin at $13 an hour when I had previously owned my own business. This was not a career move for me. This was not something that I wanted to do. This was, what do you mean? I'm going back to work at $13 an hour, right? Oh, I think I'm going backwards in life here. But the timing was right, and it was temporary. It was, hey, your chapter had been doing this. Come help us roll it out. But I was in the thick of it with my kids, right? I'm recovering PTA president, mom, and I was able to still do all of those things. And so I took it, and now look what it did. Yeah. I now own the company. Wow. But I started... The only thing I haven't done is the shipping department. But
That's okay. That's okay.
Right? I help package them. I just can't make the actual label. But I will never ask you to do something that I haven't done or that I'm not willing to do. Because
that's powerful.
You're no different than me. I'm no different than you. We're all just people. Thinks. We're all just people. I walk into rooms and hi. You wouldn't know who I am. If you're a guest in the room, you have no idea. Hi, I'm Summer.
Right.
Other people walk in and it's all but kiss the ring. It's just...
Yeah. I'm glad there's a woman out there like you. How many kids?
I have 2 kids.
How old?
I have teenage boys.
Okay.
Yeah. So you said something in your book that resonated with me and probably the most. And I'm going to butcher the quote, but something along the lines of, your next $1 million deal is nowhere near as important as getting your teenager to listen to you. And I was highlighting it and screenshot it because I'm in the thick of it right now with teenage boys. And I have one who is sweet and cuddly, and I have one who is just independent and wants to be the man, and he's showing now that he is that man.
Right.
But that also, there's that phase where they don't really want to talk to mom. They don't really care about anything. And if I could get him, I just thought, if I could get him to sit here and talk to me for 5 minutes, what an amazing breakthrough, far better than any business deal I could ever have.
I made a couple of deals with my kids. My kids are twins. They're now 23 years old. And I'm probably the luckiest mom in the world because my daughter works with me. I technically kind of work for her because she's the CEO of the company. She has a very organized brain, and I'm the front of the face of the company and the visionary. But this girl can implement systems better than anyone I've ever seen.
That's incredible.
And to get to work with your daughter. But I don't want to ever make it seem to other people like, oh, wow, my kids are so perfect. Let me tell you something. Initially, I grabbed my daughter when she was like 8 years old to come hang with me because I still don't have a whole lot of friends. And I work a lot. I love working. I'm a bit of a workaholic. And so, well, come with me. And so she would travel with me. In fact, one day I pulled her out of school 50 days because I kept saying, stop, don't let school get in the way of a good education.
Oh my God, say that again, please.
Don't let school get in the way of a good education. There is no calculus class that you're ever going to take that is better than learning on the spot. She became a master networker. She leveraged relationships with people like Les Brown and Joe Theismann, and I didn't know this, but she started coding computers when she was little, like 12 years old, and opened her first business and made $10,000 online doing an e-com business, and then built YouTube channels and websites for these people, because none of us at that stage knew how to do it.
Sure.
And the beautiful thing for me is that she looked and watched me get screwed over a couple of times. Because I didn't know how to get online. I didn't understand how to connect things so they would talk to each other with your database and your landing pages and your website. And she looked at me one day, she had enough, and she's like, I'm just going to fix this for you because you're not doing a good job. I was like, really? You know how to do that? And she literally stepped up to save her family. During COVID, it was crazy, but my kids were doing their schooling at home. But I'll go back to a period when she was about 12 years old where she looked at me one day and was like, so, who are you and what have you done for me lately? And I'm like, I'm sorry, wait, what? And like you said, that is hormonal. That is kids growing up going, I'm going to be away from, I got to break free from my parents. And I credit COVID, which was horrible. I lost one of my best friends during COVID. But because she and her brother did high school the last 2 years in my house, we reunited, we connected. And it's been, I'm her biggest fan. It's crazy.
She's sitting right there.
She is sitting right there.
She's not going to come on camera, but yeah.
But also I get to be proud of her because, to get real, she listened to what I teach. And I think this is really important. I do something very unique and very odd. We talk about pitching. Pitching is not sales technique. Sales is another thing. Sales is aggressive. Sales is, I'm going to handle objections. Sales is database. It is very data-driven. Pitching is not. Pitching is a lifestyle. Pitching is you getting a yes anytime, anywhere. We pitch to be on your show. You pitch to have me on your show. There's no money exchanging hands. It is a relationship that ends in a yes. Pitching allows you to get anything and everything you want. You may find that you're going to start to pitch your son for his attention. And one way you do this is really important when you network, stop telling people what they need. Get them to want what you have. You don't need my book, but I'm going to get you to want it because the secrets are in here. You don't need this bottle of water unless you're really thirsty, then you want it. So people always say, Forbes, you can sell ice to Eskimos. And I'm like, I'm way smarter than that. Why would you sell ice to an Eskimo? They don't want that. They want warmth, blankets, and firewood. Sell that, and it's a win-win. And that's part of what pitching is, a mindset of listening to the other person and seeing what the room needs. So, for example, when you walk into a networking environment, number one, I talked about the pre-handshake. I skipped around a little bit. But the pre-handshake is, what do you want? Why are you in that room? And I don't think people stop to take in that moment. Oh, there's connections to be made, there's business to be had, so people would then need to know what I bring to the table, but not too much. Okay, that's a really good way to structure it. Did I also bring a way for people to follow up with me? Do I have to put it into your phone? Do I have a little, digital business card? Because if you're not thinking that far in advance, it's like, oh, I want your number. Oh, does somebody have a pen? That's yesterday's news. Then there's the handshake, which physically, by the way, I taught my kids to shake hands. I was taught to shake somebody's hand. In fact, one of my favorite mentors, and that was the late, great Billy Mays, the But Wait, There's More guy. I would travel with Billy and hang out with him, and he'd always walk up to, because people in airports would always recognize him, he'd always put his hand out. He'd shake his hand and said, hey, I'm Billy Mays, damn glad to meet you. Now, you knew his name, but he didn't anticipate that you did. And it was very ingratiating and very warm and very loving. And you look eye contact and you take that moment. You don't squeeze too hard, especially if it's I've had people squeeze my hand. I'm like, what are you doing? It's not an arm wrestle. Or that little wimp one. You're like, okay, that's a little weird.
It is, yeah.
And do you know where handshake came from?
I don't.
It's an old custom because your right hand is your sword hand.
So I did know that. Yes,
so in the old days, they would put this out to make sure there was no weapon in your hand. I thought that's pretty clever.
That is.
And then the post handshake is how do you follow up, which, as I'm sure you know and you probably teach, is where the money is. You don't make a sale in the networking room.
No.
But you intrigue somebody so much that they want to follow up with you. And then have the courage to follow up, because that was a big problem for me. I was great at networking. I just wasn't good at following up. I didn't want to bother people. It's like, that's not really what you're doing. You're moving your needle forward.
Okay, but let's go back a little bit, because you walk into that room and you want to be clear about the message that you're giving. But to the person who's new at networking, who feels that they have to walk away with 50 business cards or 50 contacts.
Okay.
That shouldn't be your goal. When I go into an event, I want to meet 1, 2, maybe 3 people.
Yes.
You
Don't
agree?
Get nuts. Yes, it's not a numbers game, it's a quality game. But you do have to shake a lot of hands to find the 2 or 3 that do jive with you. And you're always very respectful to people that don't fit what you're doing. But if you, I only want 2 or 3 people. And I find that makes all the difference in your business.
Well, so we say that when they bring people in, you have to be voted in to be a chapter member. And sometimes people think, well, hey, we have this open category, which is an industry.
Right.
And you're breathing, so therefore you should be able to fill that seat. Not anybody could just be here. You want to connect with the right people. If we're going to invest our time and our money to be here, I want to make sure you're on par with where we're going.
Do you teach networking?
We do.
Yeah. I do think it's a bit of a skill. It's kind of like speed dating.
Yes.
If you're good at, you should get good at it. You don't need to speed date anymore. But you will always need to network. It's funny because I always used to come home. I had a couple of assistants in the old days when there was business cards, and I'd always come home with a stack of them. Because I enjoy that noodling and finding out who's what. But at one point she was like, well, what do you want me to do with these? I'm like, put them on a spreadsheet. She's like, why? I said, because every one of those people is someone I connected with. And if I save their card, I think there's an opportunity there. And it's not always an opportunity for you to take. I think that's the thing when you go into a networking room. You are not there to take. Yes, you want to move your business forward. Yes, you want to talk about what you do. But what if your services could up-level or further somebody else? What if you could become the referral master? Hey, it's nice to connect you, but you know what? You said you want this. I know that person, and make that happen. Then they both like you, and then they will refer you when the opportunity is right.
Well, that's what we say. Give, get, grow, repeat.
Oh, I love that.
But you start with giving. When you can give your services. If you're going to walk into this room and just expect that you're going to get everybody's business here, it doesn't work that way. It's a long haul relationship.
Do you find that most people don't know how to give first? They don't even know what you're talking about.
They have no idea.
They're so in their head about what they do. It's funny, I'm running a challenge right now. And the challenge is to pitch this book. Now, why would I do that? Well, I'm giving a commission if you refer the book. But I'm also telling people, look, the first part of my career, and it was over here, guys, this is kind of interesting, but I hosted 197 infomercials. What does that mean? Well, it means that I'm the godmother of TikTok Shop. Because I'm the original UCGer. I have represented all of these products. Where's this page? It's here somewhere. Do you know where it is? It's here somewhere. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
So each one of these not only is a half-hour television show with lots of different celebrities, but it also represents all 197 different products. Mm-hmm. And so I got very good at connecting and pitching other people's things. In fact, here's something that you should all know. When you own your own business, you're probably the least qualified to pitch it because you want to educate people. I want to tell you everything about what I'm up to. Here's why I do it. Here's what it does for everybody. And by the time you're like, well, okay, good for you. That's not how you pitch. In fact, you don't pitch the product. You pitch the solution. Ooh, you know what? I'm going to share something with you. Where's my little guy over here? Let's play a little game.
Oh, this guy?
Yep. So many years ago, I created a handheld fitness product. And if you look at it, you go, okay, what is that, right? So I know what this does, but it's also a little odd looking. It looks a little like a yo-yo, right? So I'm not going to stand here and say, hi, nice to meet you. This does all blah, 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 blah. And you're like, so here's a little thing you don't hear very often. I think this is in the book. Ask me what I do.
What do you do?
I created the greatest fitness product on the planet. You want to see it?
I do.
I just got a yes. You get 3 of those, you get a credit card. And then I would say, give me your thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your thumbs,
Mm-hmm.
which is so funny because we're in a studio.
We
I would
are.
literally put this on your hands like this. And I would make you do it. I would count. I would go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Yeah.
And what's your reaction to this?
No, I feel that.
Feel it. And
Oh,
now,
yeah.
At some point, you're like, oh, I want one of these?
Yes, no, I do want this one. And it's pink.
There you go. Did I have to tell you what it is, who
No.
I am? Because, by
No.
the way, I could bore you a lot. I could say I'm in the National Fitness Hall of Fame. I've sold $1 million a day of this on Home Shopping. It's made out of aluminum, blah, blah, blah. I don't say any of that. And you want one. And is it okay if once you say yes, that I stop talking? That is a huge issue. People just keep talking. Now, the next myth I would love to bust for you is, were you told that you need a perfect avatar?
I'm not that girl. Even if I was told that, I don't need to be perfect.
Well, no, not you. Is that you're looking for your ideal customer.
Oh, got it. Sorry. I thought you said when you were presenting that you need to be perfect, because I don't feel that way.
Oh, gosh, no. Don't
Yeah.
let the perfect ruin the good. I have a lot of those isms.
Yes.
But one of the things in business, I'm definitely a disruptor. You know, when you don't communicate for years, you start to listen differently and you hear things differently. And I think that's one of my biggest secrets. I believe, and I know you've just gone through some challenges, that life happens for you, not to you. Mm-hmm. So I don't regret any of the things that I went through. I have learned to embrace them. I've learned to make stories about them and make points about them. So in particular, when it comes to, I just lost my train of thought. Just not to lament on where, if it's going wrong, really figure out, by the way, is failure a good thing or a bad thing?
I think failure is a wonderful thing.
Right. This is what's great about you. You
Yeah.
are definitely not an in-the-box thinker.
No, not at all. Never have been. Because if you're failing, you're trying. So we wear badges at our meetings, right? It says who you are, what your category is, and we've had them for 1,000 years, and they've been great. And I took a chance, and I changed the type of badge that we have, and I put it on a lanyard for the idea of outside of the meeting with this QR code, giving them a way to have better ROI and all this. I could go down the rabbit hole of all the fun stuff that it does. Quite frankly, you can fill in the blank with whatever word you'd like to use, but it wasn't overly well received by more than half of the membership. I took a chance because I believe in the product that we had. Okay, I fixed it. I went back and I changed it. There's money involved in that, but I did it with a smile on my face. But you know what? Now you get 2 badges. You get one that goes here and you get the lanyard. Even if you don't want the lanyard, keep it in your wallet. Use it as a digital business card that you just talked about so that you have that. It's got the QR code on it.
It's a great idea.
Because I believe in it, but I failed the first time. But I also didn't have a problem saying, sorry, okay, I'm sorry. You're upset. I hear you. I'm listening. I've got your feedback. And
did they say why they're upset? Because sometimes change is challenging for people.
Change is so hard.
Yeah, because I love the idea that there was a way to scan it and a QR code, and I agree with you.
Yeah, it's important. And this QR code shows not only your information, but everybody in your chapter. And it
Which
allows
is interesting. So it may part have been the way you pitched it to people.
Yes, absolutely.
It's fascinating, guys. When you learn, so one of the chapters. What's cool about the book, by the way, I'm just going to go back to, because it took me 5 years to write this thing, and I'm so proud of it. And every chapter is very short, because I think you want to get in, get out. And then the coolest thing about this is that there's little Easter eggs everywhere. You will find a QR code randomly at different chapters. When you scan this gives you access to a vault of thousands of dollars of free video, free training. There's all kind of things in there, all for free, because that's the journey. I want the book to be an adventure. I want the book to be a doorway into the world of pitching that nobody else teaches. Do you know that?
I love that. And I love the Easter eggs. I love that you have the QR codes. But can I also talk about, you said it took you 5 years to write this?
Yeah, well, yes.
Okay, well, but I can tell by holding this book, like you say, the chapters are not long. It's not an overwhelming book that you think you're going to be here. But you put some serious thought into the texture, to the weight of the paper. I can feel all of that.
You know, it's funny because when we started this conversation, you said that you read the PDF. Number one, thank you for doing that. That's powerful as a host of a podcast. But you can feel this. The second thing that I love, and I'm crazy about this, is that all my pictures are in color. And I fought with the publishers for this because nobody does this. First of all, life is not in black and white.
No, it's not.
And I have all of these beautiful pictures of people whose careers I've had something to do with, like Kim Kardashian, Les Brown, Body by Jake, Mario Lopez. You're like, wait a second, you're the least famous person in your whole book. And I'm like, that's okay, there's Serena Williams and Toni Morton. I connected with all of these people with regard to pitching. And then there's even more fun stuff. I mean, I started a movement here, and I thought, why wouldn't we do all of this in color? So when you get the book, if you want to be part of the movement, it's the little movement here. I'm going to go, okay, wait for it. And it is absolutely in color.
I love it.
Isn't it fun?
I love that.
I do. I love this too. I love the people who are behind this. I love the fact that when you experience the book.
Oh, no, it's an experience.
Thank you.
I will tell you, I was not happy reading the PDF, if I'm being honest. But I read it and I got through it and it was a great book. I'm like, okay, this is good. But going through the PDF, but to touch this now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
I love this book.
You know, one of the things I think is important is to make a difference if you can. And literally just standing up and saying, I want it to be in color was such a huge thing because in the publishing world, books are not in color. Magazines are. And my thought process was, I love to flip through magazines. I'm not flipping through a lot of books. I have to sit down and get focus and do this. I said, no, this should be fun and engaging, and I want you to take away the lessons. Did you have a favorite letter?
I loved the handshake.
Okay, isn't that funny? That would totally work for you because that was all about networking. And I break that down because that was one of the sticking points for me. I would get to events in the old days when I first started being social and not know what to say. I don't drink, so I'd stay in the corner. And I watch people literally get up to the microphone, and maybe you hear this going, hi, God, I'm so nervous. Why would you go out on a date and show your date your dirty underwear? That's what that equates to for me. Don't tell me you're an introvert. Don't tell me you're nervous. Just get up there, take a breath, and have an intention. The second thing I'm going to urge all of you to do is to remind you of words you should not saying. Stop saying the word actually.
You have what, 7 phrases?
I do.
7 deadly phrases.
Well, actually, I'm like here in Vegas. Oh my God. I'm not actually, I just am here.
Yeah.
But the other ones include like, I've had conversations. I'm doing a business deal with somebody who cannot stop saying, like every other sentence, like, so, like, well, I'm like, no, I don't know. And I know that's crazy, but most people don't stop to hear themselves. Mm-hmm. And I have a whole philosophy about words you shouldn't use. And if you I haven't used any of them. Rather than just stop talking. Take a breath. And realize that in regular conversations, you don't have these, I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm on a microphone or I'm standing in front of people.
Sometimes people deal with imposter syndrome. Do you not think that when they get up to the microphone? I was just at a meeting this week and a woman did.
Why did we give it a name?
I don't know.
What do you think? That's a great question.
So I had somebody, one of our members here in Vegas says, they asked me to be on the board of my chapter. I said, that's fantastic. And her face is, and I said, it's not fantastic? And she says, they're all experienced. They're all been in business. And I said, so what, you have imposter syndrome and you don't fit in because you're not in business and you're not the expert in your field? And you could see it just kind of went down in her mind that she understood, oh, maybe I can do this.
See, if you don't know, you have a word for it. Can I have the bag to this? I'm going to show you something. So an 8-year-old should have imposter syndrome,
the bag,
right?
Which bag?
For Spin Gym, the little bag that it has.
I don't think it's here.
Oh, it was not there?
It's not here.
There it is. Your man behind the camera has it. Thank you, baby. Thank you. So I'm going to tell you a little story.
Okay.
First of all, there's no such thing as imposter syndrome unless you decide to make it that. Because what qualifies you to be in a room? I love the fake it till you make it, but my version of that is build the illusion to achieve the dream. You are never that experience until you get the experience. How do you get the experience? Chicken or the egg? So let it go and just move forward. Have your goals, your intentions aligned. I always say have a mentor, bounce this off somebody, but stop with the I don't think so. So here's a crazy story. When I was launching Spin Gym, my daughter was 8 years old. 8-year-olds have not been to high school or graduated or college or have any expectation of anything, correct?
Correct.
Except that they're a kid. And we built a philosophy called Every Company Needs a Kid because there's this imagination thing that you lose when you get older. There's the I can do anything when you're young. Every company does need a kid. So we were selling Spin Gym on what was called a Today Special, and we had to lower the price. And this comes with a DVD. Actually, that book, I'll take a picture of that book. It came with the book, a bag, a DVD, and it had 5 components. And the price had to be low enough. They literally were going to sell it for like as low as the wholesale price, which was crazy. It means I didn't make any money if I sold it. Like, well, I can't afford to lose money and sell this. And we're all very experienced people sitting around and going, what do we do? You know, you can't do without these things. And my daughter walked in having no rules and said, why don't you take out the bag? And I'm like, well, because it's got my branding on it. It's got my, she said, but that's all she said. And then it dawned on all of us going, the bag was like 60 cents. If you take that out of the 75,000 units you're going to sell and just sell this with a little plastic bag, maybe not as branded, not as cute, but it got the job done. So should I say that she had an imposter syndrome because she was in a boardroom full of executives who, by the way, couldn't figure it out because they were so locked into their idea? Second thing, and I love talking about McKenna. I know she's in the room and she's not going to come over here, but I talk it well because she's listened. The time she was 8 years old, she heard me say all these things and all of these, the whole concept of pitch secrets. And I wanted to do a TEDx talk for a long time. Now, as a networker, you guys should all want TEDx talks. It gives you a nice amount of credibility, and it gets you to solidify something that you've had in your head or your heart. I love the concept, and I've watched thousands of TEDx talks. Well, the funny thing is I applied 7 years ago to local Tampa, and they called me. I was so excited, and they're like, we don't want you. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? They called me to tell me
Why'd
this.
you call?
Right, I really don't need this kind of rejection. Thank you so much. And they said, you're not allowed to pitch on the TED stage. I'm like, yeah, I know that. I'm going to teach pitching. I'm not going to pitch. And they're like, oh, we've seen you infomercial girl. You're liable to sell something. And to be very honest, 7 years ago, I might have. I was very aggressive. I just launched this company, and I want everyone to have one. And that's important to note. I wasn't really thinking about the other people. And when you sell something, you really are pushy. When you're pitching, you're much... So I let that go. Beginning of this year, I said, that's ridiculous. I'm going to figure this out. I reapplied in a different way, and I got 5 offers.
Good for
I decided
you.
to take 2 of them. The first one happened to be in my hometown of St. Pete, Florida. And so I said to my daughter, I said, why don't you call the organizer? I said, she's just moved here. You grew up here. You went to high school here. Give, like you said, give before you get. And while you're on the phone, why don't you pitch her that you should do your concept of every company needs a kid? Now, to be very honest, we were going to write the book. We never did. We've talked about the concept a lot, but that's as far as it went. It was just a dream. And she looked at me and she's like, I'm not calling her. It takes an application. I'm 22. I've never spoken really before. And I said, great, then go get a no. See, to me, no stands for never-ending opportunity. Go get a no. See what that feels like to pitch her and not have it work and see what you learn. And that was the teaching. She comes back 38 minutes later because I looked at the clock. She's like, I got something to tell you. I'm like, what? She's like, well, I talked to her. I said I would be offered to help her. And then I said I had this idea for a speech. She said, well, applications are closed, but that she'd like to make an exception and offer me a speaking position. And she ended up being the closing speech at the TEDx talk, St. Pete, Florida. She got a standing ovation. She just booked a keynote from that.
Oh my gosh.
When you're not allowed to pitch. And we talk about that she's my oldest and youngest student. She listened to what I said, did it anyway, and it worked. I mean, we were both like, oh my God, it worked.
Yeah.
You should not be, by the way.
You shouldn't be surprised by your results because, wait, I taught you to do this, so I knew it was going to work, but wow.
Well, we're getting insane results. I have a hashtag called #MadeASale, and I was this morning flipping through Facebook. I've got a dozen of them, of people who are like, I made a sale here, I'm networking here, it's working, what you do works. And I tell people, please don't be surprised. Please don't write me, oh my God, I can't believe it. See, that puts a real message out to the universe. What? I want you to say as expected.
So I told you I've had some struggles.
Yes.
The last couple of years. I just said because I'm trying not to get emotional about one of those struggles.
It's okay.
And I kept saying, well, it can't get any worse.
Oh.
I did that for 5 years. it got down to the point where it was like, well, and here's cancer, just to show you how worse it can get. And I was in a room with someone, one of our members, who said, she was doing a vision board, and she said, stop saying that because you're asking the universe to make it worse. So now I say, no, thank you. I've had enough. No, thank you. I'm good.
I love that. You guys should really take that to heart, because what you say, you create.
You do. Your mind is powerful, and it is listening, whether it's about how you're going to stand in front of this microphone and give your 30-second commercial, or how bad life has been, what has happened to you. Like you, I don't have any regrets for how I was raised or what I've been through. I think that it shapes you and it forms you into the person that you are. But I've stopped saying how much worse can it get, because...
Oh, I just got absolute chills, because I'm a huge manifester. And you said, how do you get over imposter syndrome? Here's what you do. Wake up in the morning, go look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and say, hi, mirror. Hi. And then call yourself by your name. Hi, Forbes. Good morning. First thing you want to do is not look at all the things you normally look at. I don't want to see the new wrinkle, the gray hair, or whatever you normally look at, because that breaks down your self-esteem. Look in that mirror and go, I'm perfect. I'm excellent. Maybe perfect's not it. How about I'm perfect just the way I am? I am enough. Whatever phrase works for you. I love you. You're going to have an amazing rockin' day. Set an intention out and go get it. And if you do 3 things in one day, you're lucky. Don't have a whole to-do list of 50 things, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is you've done 3 of them and now you feel like a failure. Success breeds success. Success breeds confidence. Confidence breeds clarity. Clarity breeds confidence. You're like, oh, wait a second. The more when I walked in here today, I had no doubt that we're going to have an amazing conversation. I didn't know how spectacular you would be. I'm very delighted by that, but I'm not surprised. I read your bio and I saw you online. There's not a single nerve. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to say. Who cares? My intention is that, one, I've written an amazing book here that I think is going to change the world. I'm watching what I'm going to start to get emotional too. I'm watching what my training is doing, because this book breeds confidence. That's the point. And I look at women who are moms, who are struggling, who can't get... Now, here's a funny thing. I'm a real big believer in neurolinguistic programming. Chapter N. And what that means is how your brain talks to your mouth and you talk to the world. You're just an example of what just happened. So if you say, I feel like an imposter, guess what? You feel like an imposter. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you belong here, fake it till you make it. Or my favorite flipping of that. What do you want? Decide to build the illusion to achieve the dream. And I have pushed this in so many ways, and I dare anyone to go, well, how about this and how about that? I'm in my 20s. I'm in New York City, and I want to be an actress so bad. I have no connections. I have very little money. I started my very first feature film, my very first audition. I got the lead role, write this down, Splatter University. Hey, I had one rule. I said, just no nudity. I didn't want to do nudity. Killing women was fine.
Listen, we all have boundaries.
Careful
it's
what
okay.
you wish for. Well, it's funny because I've gone to some of the events that, celebrate those kind of films, and I met some of my fans. My first fan letter was from jail. I thought maybe I need to do a different movie. Maybe I need to do something that's more lifetime.
The wrong crowd that you're attracting.
But I love the character. My little Julie, my Julie Parker, people still adore her. She was a teacher who took the place of a young teacher who was murdered, and she wanted success in her life, but she wasn't very careful. If you know there's a murderer running around the building, leave the building. That's the only thing I would change. God, I was so young. But I wanted it. And what happened for me was I butted up against the Me Too world. Only nobody had a name for it back then. So when I took a lunch with this big high-power agent, and it was in a hotel, I thought it was in the restaurant in the hotel. It was not. It was his room. I went up to his room because I'm completely naive, and there was a food thing there, and I expected we're going to sit at the table and have lunch. No, he starts chasing me around the bedroom, and I'm like, and luckily he was small. And I'm like, you got to be, like, it was almost laughable. And I think that saved me from whatever. But I left thinking, well, I'm not going to do that. What am I going to do? Now go back to, because I didn't have a lot of friends, I didn't have a lot of people to tell me I couldn't do something. That's a really important thing. I don't check with other people if I can or cannot. I just go. Yeah. I have a little me, myself, and I conversation in my head, and I go and do things, and I spend a lot of time alone doing things. And so I said, you need a manager. I said, great. This is how obscene the conversations get. Let's go get one. So I hired a woman named Lindsay Maxwell, And Lindsay got all the information. She called the agents and she called the casting people, and she booked me on movies, television, commercials. And she opened up a company called Creative Management for Artists. And I was Lindsay Maxwell. And the only person that I pitched was Forbes Riley. I worked all over the place. Because I could pitch, and I pitched me. And the only one time that it was crazy, because it was cell phone, there was payphones back then, is one of the jobs the producer, I'll never forget. He's like, I need to talk to your manager. And I'm like, I'll be right back. And it goes like, I don't know, Superman, go into a phone booth and go, and then remember what accent, okay, hi, everything okay on the set? And he's like, luckily he's like, is this Forbes? I'm like, no. But I just wanted what I wanted. And I didn't let things like that stop me. And I'm hoping that all of these stories serve to help other people. Here's another good story. I wanted to be a speaker. Do you speak on stages beyond just...
Just at our convention I speak on.
I love speaking. And I watched some very famous people like Les Brown and Sharon Lecter. And I was sitting in the audience of this first big speech thing that I didn't even know people did that. Remember, this is before YouTube. Very different life pre-YouTube.
Well, my kids say, wait, you were around when Google was invented?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, what is interesting to think about a cell phone versus a phone tied to the wall. We're definitely in a unique generation. And I said, I want to be a speaker, I think, because I'd only spoken other people's words as an actress. I said, but I have nothing to talk about. That's really what I thought as I'm sitting going, God, they're all so good. They have these great stories. And I set out literally on a journey to architect and understand what it took to be a professional speaker. To have people pay you $15,000, $20,000, $100,000 for one speech. Or better yet, in my world, I don't want you to pay me. I want you to buy a copy of the book for everybody in the audience and let me pitch something. And I can walk away, I can generate $200,000 to $300,000 to $500,000 in the time a paid speaker will make $10,000. So if being a professional speaker is ever interesting to you, reach out to me, because I now have an entire training on this. I'm crazy about how beautiful it feels when you're on a stage. It feels like you're very connected to the universe. So early on, how do you get started? Well, there's a chicken and the egg. If you don't have a manager, become the manager. It's kind of weird. But I had become aware of Grant Cardone way back in like 2017. And I knew he was doing this big event. I just wanted to meet him. He was supposed to be at an event I was doing, and he didn't end up showing up. I'm like, I want to meet this man and his beautiful wife. And I was like, so I'm in Vegas and walking down the hallway, and sure enough, he and his wife and his entourage are at the end of the hallway. That means you've got 20 seconds to put together what are you going to say. How do you craft an elevator pitch? And I would love to teach this to your members. Because one of the things, and it's an exercise we play, what would you say in an elevator, you have 20 seconds, to somebody very famous that you want to meet? Do you have somebody you'd like to meet?
No, it's, I would love to meet Michelle Obama.
Okay, so let's assume, now I think the next question though is why?
I find her to be very down to earth, inspirational. I love what she did when Barack was in the office with what she was doing with kids and
okay, so here's something interesting about this. Just because you want to meet them, why do they want to meet you? See, this is not a fan moment where you're like, oh my God, I love all the things you've done. Right. And then they leave and they don't know who you are and nothing's happened. But if you said to me, this was a little bit of a trick question, I want to meet Michelle Obama because I want her to speak to networkers and be the keynote speaker at our big event. Oh, that's a very different intention why you want to meet them. I once said to Tim Story, who's been very good friends with Oprah, I'm very good friends with Tim. You're like 1 degree away. I've not met Oprah yet. I have not met Oprah yet. By the way, come on. She should be spin gymming, hot pink, waiting for her.
Oprah's favorite things. Why is this not on it?
Yes, well, it's because I'm just not focused on that. I am now, though.
Right.
And so Tim said to me something very profound. I said, I would love to meet Oprah. And he looked at me and he said, why would she want to meet you? I was like, oh, wow. That's a very different philosophy.
It is.
She'd want to meet me because I'm the creator of a product that can get her even fitter and sexier. That's a good start. Or she would want to meet me because I am a woman who pioneered in a man's world and a whole industry about pitching and now taking it into TikTok and making millionaires of anybody who desires to be. Mm-hmm. That's a good conversation, I think.
That's a good conversation.
So you're in the elevator with Michelle Obama, and I would not gush over her.
Right.
I'd say, Michelle, get this. As a breast cancer survivor and a mom, I'm on a mission in this planet to get people to connect. I bought this company. This is what it does. you being the keynote speaker would elevate it to a level to help women everywhere. She is going to say to you, here's my assistant's card, reach out to me. And so if you understand how to put that together that fast, it's a game changer. I see Grant down the hallway, and I said, I know he does a big event. I want to meet him. Why? So when I walked up to him, I didn't walk up to him, I walked up to his wife. Now, why did I do that? Because I think it's very rude that a woman walks up to somebody's husband and starts talking and ignores her.
Agreed.
But that is all, I'm putting this together. By the way, that's practice. And I walked up to Elena and I said, hi, I'm Forbes Riley. I'm known as the Queen of Pitch. I think you may have seen me on infomercials. I watched Tony Robbins generate $1 billion from his. I think your husband could generate an extra $1 billion. Would that be okay? And she just looked at him and said, you need to meet this woman. That's chapter O. That's called an open door. Literally, his wife just told him to meet me. That gives me about 30 seconds. And guys, as you're working on your 30 seconds, that's one reason you want to get this down, because when that opportunity shows up, I parlayed that into almost $500,000. Okay, watch one introduction. So I stuck out my hand, I shook my hand, I said the same thing. I may have seen me on television. I host infomercials, and I can create, $1 billion platform for you. Would that be okay? And the answer to that is yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It's never no.
Right. But now he's thinking about what could it do for him, which is a great thing to say. He invited me to a party at the Mandalay Bay. And about 6 months later, I was on stage at the TEDx conference, speaking in front of 10,000 people at probably the biggest thing I've ever done because of a networking micro moment.
A networking micro moment. I'm going to borrow that phrase.
I just made that up.
I love it.
I literally just made it.
But I love it, and I'm borrowing it.
Well, because it really was, I don't think people realize, you all want the big chunk. There's chapters in here. But what are the little moments? And I'm going to share with you, inside each chapter, I do have little moments and exercises and things to do because, in fact, here's some things right here about what you should be doing to handle fear. That's something I hear everyone come up to me going, I have a fear of failure, fear of imposter syndrome is in here, perfectionism. And you guys, that's under M for mindset. And I'm going to share with you, if you focus on those things, they will expand. I'm going to go back to my most favorite chapter. It's not infomercials. I love that one. But it is F. Remember what F is? F is Forbesing it.
Oh, yes.
To Forbes something means to manifest it in your life, especially when no one else thinks it's possible. You right now you're Forbesing health.
I am.
You're Forbesing longevity, right?
I am.
And you're doing it because you want to make a difference not only in the world, but in your two boys.
Yes.
And when you're very clear about those intentions, you don't say phrases that don't serve you. You make your own vision boards, and you go out and you make things happen.
And you know what's really unfortunate? Why does it take something so scary, so potentially catastrophic, to clear your mindset that way?
Okay, I'm going to clarify something. It doesn't. It only does when it does. It did for you.
It did for me.
Right. I'm going to look at my one of my mentors, Jack LaLanne. All it had to happen for him was at 14, he went to a health conference. He'd been a junk food, a sugar-addicted kid who had no energy. He heard one man speak about fasting and health, and he went home and changed his entire life. And he became Jack LaLanne, the fitness hero of all time.
Wow.
So he didn't get sick. He just, something dropped into his head. You might have been a little bit more stubborn.
I mean, I feel like you're judging me a little bit, but yeah, maybe.
Well, no, and it's not, I'm not judging you, but the universe does.
Sure.
And if the universe was trying to get through to you, because this happens to all of us, believe me, I've gone through a lot of things in my life. If it's trying to get through to you to guide you where you want to go, and it ends up being so catastrophic that you have to stop and go, okay, I get it. For me, mine was a kidney stone.
Okay.
And I was going through a breakup in my marriage because we'd raised a little boy who had been murdered. I don't really touch on that in this book, but I do touch on that in my second TEDx talk. And that shattered a lot. 6 months after my babies were born, a kid that I raised for 12 years who was best man at my wedding was gunned down.
Oh my gosh.
That will destroy you, right? Well, it had its moments. Fast forward many years later, I am now got a huge fitness opportunity. I'm building a company. I'm dieting a lot. I wasn't drinking enough water and I wasn't paying attention. And so the universe, I get to New York City I'm in my hotel room. I've never missed a day of work ever. Whenever I said I would show up, because integrity is really important to me, at 1 a.m. in the morning, I am screaming in pain. They rush me to the emergency room. They discover that I have a kidney stone, and I have emergency surgery. That's the next thing. I'm literally on my cell phone on the gurney, high on morphine, going, I don't think I'll make the 8 a.m. call. I'm in the hospital, but I could probably be there by noon. That was the last thing they told me I said before I hung up. Now, the worst part of this is the next thing that happened is they didn't think I was going to make it. There are people all around my bed going, I thought they said I had low blood pressure because I've got great blood pressure. I had no blood pressure. I was crashing. I was septic. And because the other thing I didn't do is I didn't notice the signs in my own body. You don't get to neglect from the neck down. This thing's going to be with you. You get one of them. You get lots of cars, some houses maybe. You get one body. Love it or leave it, literally. And 10 days of being in the hospital, as sick as I've ever been, in so much pain. And I remember day 8 or 9 thinking, I'm going to make an agreement with you that if I get out of this, because I might not make it home, let's do things differently. So to your point, I was stubborn. And the universe literally hit me over the head. To this day, as you see me drinking water, I'm always very conscious of that. My family's always make sure you drink, because I can go all day and not drink water. Well, that means you don't care about your health. And they always say, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. Well, 10 days in a hospital in New York City by myself, my kids weren't there, they were in Florida. It reminded me, it's not over.
That's powerful. That's because really health is wealth. No amount of money can replace that. And hopefully not everyone has to be so stubborn, but when those moments come, it's almost like you've been given a second chance.
If you recover, so here's the first chance that you should really deal with, is that why did you get sick in the first place? You know, I watch people who have gotten cancer in certain parts of their body, and I'll ask them questions, and there's usually a trauma associated or a negativity associated with some part of your body that is hurting because of what you said or what you did, or maybe you were hurt. You know, people who've been molested or have really, really traumatic childhoods, things will manifest later, and they're like, well, I don't know why. Well, let me tell you something. Let me go back to that NLP thing. Take this hand, if you would. Mm-hmm. Where does your past live in space?
Where does what?
Where does your past live in space? Where is it? Just point to it. Point to your past.
Oh, okay. Over here.
Okay, guys, I want you to all watch this. This is really important. If this is your past, that means your past is living in your present. Take your hand right now and push it way back there. Way out. Let your fingers that's your past. Let your fingers tingle all the way back there. Your future is in the opposite direction. So now, because a lot of people who have got stuff going on, this is not your past here. This is your present. Because otherwise you write your future from your past and you create the same mistakes.
So I will tell you, I turned 40. When I turned 40, I felt like I've got a lot of sexual abuse trauma as a child. So when you said all of that, yes, it's all there. The Me Too, yes, it's all there. I just put a pin in it and keep going. Just put a pin in that and you just keep going. My best friend says the same thing. We'll put a pin in that and we'll just keep moving through, because life is life and you don't know any different. When I turned 40, when I tell you all of those pins came out of that cushion and came flying at me at 100 miles an hour.
I get it.
And then it was a series of couple years of, and I really do believe that I've been dealing with, it's all coming to a head now.
Why wouldn't you?
Why? Yeah, why not?
And you know what? Maybe that's a really profound part of this story, because I had the same thing happen.
Did you?
Yeah, and I just had it happen. I was in a really bad van accident. My family and I were in Iceland, and we're in the bus going home from a little snowmobiling excursion. The van hits a patch of ice, crashes down on my side of the bus. I'm right behind the bus driver. My face goes through the glass. There's glass everywhere. I didn't lose my eye, my cheek, or my brain, but I did tear my arm in 2 places. We all survived, which was great. On the way home, as we're driving through Iceland 2 years ago, the giant volcano explodes. Now the entire sky is filled with fire, and my PTSD is like, wow, where am I? And then, if that's not weird enough, my partner, who is a professional bodybuilder, very buff guy, says to me, there's a bodybuilding competition for the first time in our hometown of St. Pete. In 3 months, I need to be in it to compete for the Arnold. I'm like, good for you. He said, there's a category for women over 60. And I said, good for them. I haven't worn a bikini since I was 15. I was molested at 15. And I just I'm okay with no bikini, whatever. All those fitness competitions happen to be about bikini. And I'm also, so that's in March when we're saying this. January, I had my fat test done. I highly recommend that, by the way, because I'd been building a company for 5 years. I was very happy being fluffy. I didn't have time to go to the gym. He would always ask me, like, I don't have time. And I was at 160 pounds, and I was 33% body fat, which is pretty much pre-diabetic, borderline, very unhealthy. All right. And you know what? I was really good with that because I'm 63 years old. Give me a break, right? Because that's what society tells you. It's okay. You don't have to, you're 63. What, are you going to be a bodybuilder? And then I heard this really interesting voice, and maybe you've heard it, that said, go for it.
Yes.
You ever hear those little voices?
Yes.
Yeah. Turns out I'm not alone about these little voices.
Yeah.
Listen when you hear it. And I'm looking around going, who said that? And all I could hear was go for it. And I kept thinking, go for, oh no. You're not literally not telling me I'm going to enter a bodybuilding competition at my height. I don't have time. And the universe was like, go for it. So I got home, and this is the funny thing. If you want your goals, which is chapter G, to be attainable, put a consequence in place. Because if you don't achieve them, you're going to be embarrassed or you're going to owe money to somebody. And so it was the craziest thing. I have a mastermind every Wednesday night. We have thousands of people in our community. And I said offhandedly, without consulting my business partner or anybody else, I said, I'm going to be in a bodybuilding competition in 99 days, June 29th. Wish me luck. And I hung up. And I remember going, why did you
tell them?
Why did you do that? And then I went on a journey because I did not know how you do it. My husband does his own thing. Women are very different. I literally went on YouTube, made my own meal plan, figured out you have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to get to the gym by 5 because I had to be showered and done by 7 to get to work because I didn't have time. So I had to find time. And I started sleeping less, eating like a carnivore, working out 2 hours every day. Sometimes at the end of the day, they turn out the lights at my gym at 10 o'clock. I'm like, guys, come on, I got one more set to do. And I kept having this, I'm going to go for it. Well, day 67 out of 99, I go into the gym and I start seeing something really weird, like flying at my face. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like a bridge, and I started heaving and shaking. What had happened was my weight was always an issue for me. I was always 15 to 25 pounds overweight, and when you're an actress, they're happy to make you feel like crap. No, really, if you're not underweight, because so for example, this book doesn't look fat as a book, right? Mm-hmm. But if this book stands next to this book looks big and fat. Mm-hmm. And then if you turn the book this way, this book looks really fat. But it's a book. Mm-hmm. Well, that's how I felt. I'm like, I'm fine, but not standing next to, I was in a soap opera with Julianne Moore and Meg Ryan, and they were tiny, and I was a little fluffier than normal, but compared to them, I looked huge, and I was made to feel so bad about my body, which just didn't help any.
No.
What happened was I'd lost so much weight, well beyond that point that I always used to yo-yo from. I was well below that. Apparently, whatever fat I lost all over my back, I must have been storing some crazy memories, because the details of what had happened to me when I was 15 all came flooding back.
Really?
Here's what happened. It had to do with something with my dad. Not my dad didn't do anything, but it was a friend of his. And when he asked me how everything was, I told my dad, I'm fine. I went home, and my mom said, how was your afternoon? I said it was fine. And I never, ever, ever talked about it. So I stored it somewhere. And it came out in a raging way. And then I worked through it because I have a process to work through it. Little trauma healing thing that I do. And I got to tell you, I got on stage 99 days wearing a turquoise bikini and high heels, and I got a freaking medal.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for
Job
you.
done. And
you
that's
did
what I
it.
set out to do. But if I hadn't done all that, I would have never healed from what was going on, like you said, at 40. Mm-hmm. And guys, we do have traumas in our past.
We all do.
But don't put your past right here.
And
it's interesting that you were thinking about that.
It's right here.
All right. Well, we're going to get to push it back.
Yeah, we're going to push that back.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah. Therapy session, next one.
I don't know. How long have we been talking? I don't know how long your audience is willing to listen to me.
I'm sure for hours. I'm supposed to be on a plane right now, and I rearranged my schedule because I was so excited to meet you.
Oh, well, I'm grateful to be here.
It was an incredible conversation. You are inspirational in so many ways. And like I said, you are a natural fit for our viewers and our membership. And you talk about putting goals out there and things that you want to achieve. So I'm going to do it right now. I'd love for you to be a speaker at our next convention in Atlantic City in May of 2027.
And the answer is yes. That was a really good pitch. That was a really good pitch.
Yes! So excited.
The answer is absolutely. You know, how could I? I'm looking at this beautiful face of a woman who changed her flight. That is a pitch. And you know why it's a pitch? Because you knew that I'd say yes. You knew that. How could I not? I love the idea of taking my whole world into networkers. Number one, getting them, and maybe we do it on a Zoom before the event, getting them elevator pitch 2.0, getting them to practice this formula of, hi, my name is. Can I give you, how long are we going? Because we have something afterwards.
You guys got 10 more minutes or so.
Okay, cool. So one of the big secrets that I've got is when people say what they do, they always say the phrase, I help. Do you hear that a lot?
Yes.
What do you do? I help, blah, 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 blah.
I help, so yes.
Well, the irony is we didn't ask you who you help, because when you say that, you're talking about other people when I'm standing right in front of you. So I don't like the word I when it comes to your bio. So what would you use in place of I, do you think?
I always say we.
Okay. I have a better one.
Okay.
Because you have a limited amount of words. You've got 30 seconds. Rather than say, I do this, I help this, and I do this, what if you said, as someone who? As someone who's been working in the corporate world for 30 years and had terrible burnout, I now focus on helping traumatic women overcome their limiting beliefs. I just said a whole lot in one sentence by rearranging the words. That allows people to make that 30 seconds really count. I don't think they know how to write it right.
I could not agree with you more. I would love to put you on a Zoom so that you could be in front of our membership and we can do that and then have you on stage. I mean, listen, I will take as much as you're willing to give. So absolutely. Yes, yes, and yes.
Well, I love the fact that you are doing what I can help people execute better. Mm-hmm. Because pitching is, here's the other thing people always say to me, can I show you my pitch? And the answer is usually no. Because there's no why. You pitched me because there's something in it for both of us.
Yes.
But if you just stand here and go, well, so Forbes, here's my pitch, blah, 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 blah. Would you expect me to critique it? That's why you're telling me? That's what I do for a living. I don't do that at parties.
Right.
And by the way, your pitch shouldn't sound like this. You ever notice when people pitch, hi, I'm Forbes Riley. I know your name. I just spent the last 10 minutes talking to you. Why did you say your name again? Here's what I do. And they're like, what if it was just in a conversation and the other person just said yes to you? You get what you want, you help them, and you move on. So that's part of why there's so, one, I love the fact there's 26 letters. There's 26 different opportunities to create this. And I believe if people can network better, everything in their life gets better. I firmly believe that. I'm so excited that this is.
Well, it's the power of a relationship.
Yeah.
Especially when we live in an age where everybody's on their phone and they're just scrolling and scrolling. My kids, you know, like you said earlier, teaching them, look up, make eye contact, shake hands. It's wildly important. But they believe, well, I can get it online, so I have it. No. When I got that diagnosis, it's the relationship that I had with my doctor that got me in before most women do. It's the relationship. It's not because I filled it out online. You have to invest in people. And that's what we do every single day. And what we say to our members, their success is our success. They can network anywhere.
I love that.
They can go anywhere. The fact that you choose to be here, I want you to be here. And I want to link arms with you, and we're going to do this together.
I love that. One other phrase that I'd love to have you guys go home with is that reach out to people when you don't need them, so they're there when you do. So what does that mean? That means your relationship with your doctor, however you wanted to develop that and keep that going so that when it was important, he was already there. Too many times, I just had two people call me. They're both running for political office. I've not talked to them in 20 years. And they reached out and said, hey, you know, can you help support me? And I'm like, I can, but I personally don't want to, because I don't mean anything to you right now except I can donate to your campaign.
Right.
Well, gee, thanks a lot for, reaching out at any point. And nowadays with social media, there's no reason not to.
There's no reason.
Facebook will tell you when your friends' birthdays are. I work very hard to make sure I got a friend's calendar of birthdays because
I do the same. I calendar everything.
Do you?
If somebody shares something with me, I will calendar somebody's mom's passing.
Oh, wow.
Because it's important. And especially now that my mom's passed, what is it? It takes up a piece on my calendar.
Yeah.
It's not that overwhelming for me, but then I can send a message on that day, because years later when people stop sending messages and people stop remembering and someone does,
It's powerful.
All it took for me to do was hey Siri, add this to my calendar every year. It took me 2 seconds to leave a meaningful, impactful message next year this time.
Oh, I love that. I have a friend of mine who sends out cards on birthdays, and I guess it's all pre-programmed.
Oh, Siri's still?
Siri's
Oh my gosh, it's scheduled for today.
Oh, that's so
amazing.
Very funny. So so two friends. One, I get a birthday card with my picture on it every year from Daryl. I want to thank you very much. And I don't forget that because of all the Facebook wishes. That's nice. And then another major CEO friend of mine, this is crazy. Every Friday he sits down and writes 20 handwritten notes. And he mails them out. And I remember the first time I got a handwritten note from him, I called him going, why did you send this? This is really nice. And his name is Dean. And he said, he said, I've been doing that since I was 20 years old. I'm now in my 70s.
Wow.
And people have gotten handwritten notes from me. And for whatever reason, I'll look and see what's going on them on Facebook or, hear about something. And I'll reach out and just say, hey, or even just, hey, have a happy week. I'm thinking about you. That has moved his needle. He's one of the most successful men in business I've ever met.
That is a huge takeaway.
Isn't it, though?
And how long does that take? But it's setting aside the time and being consistent. Because when you do something one time, you made a little splash, but it's when you're consistent. So he does it every single week.
Yeah, it's being intentional. And don't think you're going to need people. There are times when you want to have people in your world doing things that may be uncomfortable for them. But if you've given first, but really given, I wonder if you teach the different ways to give. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling you do. I'm excited.
I'm excited for what you're about to teach because you bring tremendous value. You are just an absolute natural. And like I say, your presence, you can feel it when you walk in the room. Walking into this building, it's a little bit down a hall. She's here. We knew it. We could feel you coming in. Thank you so much. What a fantastic way to start my day. I am going to have the best day, no doubt. I believe that.
Don't stop at best day. How about best week? It's April. April's my birthday month. My birthday's next week.
Happy birthday.
Whenever this happens to air, though. But how about make it your best month, your best year?
My best year. And definitely my best year. It's the beginning of the best rest of my life.
Oh, I didn't quote that, but I think it's really important.
Yes.
And if you walk around thinking that, it is.
It is. It's your mindset. And it's the little things that you don't even think about sometimes that you just naturally say. So thank you for correcting me.
Well, thank you for being such a wonderful listener and an interviewer. And I love what you're up to. And networking and pitching seems to go hand in hand. And so I'm excited for all of you guys to get the book. And just the feedback that I've been getting is extraordinary. I don't know why. My only thing is I don't know why I waited. I was busy.
So pitch secrets A to Z. If this conversation resonated with you, if you see the value that she's clearly bringing in this phenomenal book, go out and get it. Make this intentional so that your pitch doesn't fall flat. Dr. Forbes Riley, I cannot thank you enough for spending the morning with us. You, like I say, you're inspirational, and I can't say it enough. You've left an imprint on my heart, so thank you so much for being here. Everyone, until next time, thank you so much.